For June the 21st, 2024, we talk about Nightmare Kart, Demonschool, the Nintendo Direct announcements, and much more. Welcome to Level 505. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
And I'm Jala Prendez.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, Jala.
Oh my God, I'm here. Hi!
Hello!
How is everybody?
Doing just fine. Thank you for coming on. Ben is out of town. The first of what I'm sure to be multiple rotating, people taking vacation stuff.
I don't get vacation, so that means I'll be here more.
I only get vacation.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
Pick your poison.
What's going on, Jala?
Well, aside from this being the very, very busiest season for my day job, and therefore it's been wild and stressful and will persist until the end of hurricane season, which is to say November.
Oh, yeah, I never considered that.
Working insurance at this time of year is a wild gig if you write any kind of property insurance. So, I don't write homeowners insurance, so don't get mad at me about that.
Not gonna lie, I like to imagine that you're like, who are the two insurance agents from Trigun?
Oh, yeah, those two. What is it, Millie and Merle, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Right. So it's been a minute, if I remember that
have you
accurately.
ever gotten into a shootout as part of your insurance job?
I should hope not. I live in Texas. That's a bad thing. I don't
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, that's enough of a risk elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for Pride Month, I just have to share this. So, within the oeuvre of different fancy folks that I associate with, there is the blacksmith Matthew, and Matthew for Pride Month made this baller like Morning Star thing, mariposa, which is like a butterfly on it, and it's like for Pride Month. And then somebody else, one of his friends, drew it with a rainbow wrap on it, and then put like what was it? It was let's go beat turfs or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like for LGBT, and it was this cute little design. But anyway, it was fun watching Matthew work on that, and because he live streams his blacksmithing from time to time, and it was fun watching him work on that and other projects and other stuff like that. But you can find him on Blue Sky at The Ugly Machine. And
yeah, I definitely recommend it. He does some really awesome stuff.
Yeah. I have one of his pieces. It's a little stiletto, like railroad spike knife that has a crow feather etched onto it.
Nice.
So, yeah. So that's a fun, cool thing I just wanted to share. So there you go.
Nice.
How's everybody else doing?
Yeah. Dennis, you're sounding kind of different.
Yeah, I am. The network was gracious enough to upgrade my gear. So the pressure to now have coherent thoughts, since they're actually being recorded properly, is crushing. I don't know if I can do this, you guys.
The microphones automatically upgrade the thoughts, so don't worry.
Good. Okay, good. Hopefully we can fix it all in post, right?
Man,
Please,
that's
Gwen,
like that.
please.
Did you see the new AI feature some company has where if someone calls into customer support and is angry, it'll make them sound like they're happy?
Oh, God.
Yes, I saw that.
I did not see that. That's really, really dumb. Anyway, we got so some gear upgrades happening and rolling out. The other people's microphones and stuff are in transit, so figured it was about time.
Yeah. Well, I'm pumped, and I'm also running around like a chicken with my head cut off for Origins prep.
Yeah,
because I leave for that tomorrow, and that's my excuse to pull it into the upfront versus the end. Is Origins is almost here. In fact, when you're listening to this, you can go and see me at booth 1919 on the show floor if you happen to be in Columbus. And Kole, it sounds like you might be able to swing by. That's exciting.
Yeah, no, if you're going to be there on Thursday, I don't want to be a distraction while you're there, but like I'll probably be hanging around the booth for like a little bit on Thursday. Yeah.
Come and chill. Come and say hi and enjoy some awesome board games. So, yeah, just very excited for that.
So who are you cosplaying?
Oh, just me.
I was going to say, I'm cosplaying a one-man indie designer.
Yes. It is not that big of a reach for you. Yeah. So
It should be in my wheelhouse.
So here's my question as somebody who will be attending it for the first time. What should I keep an eye out for? Like, is there anything in particular people who are going to Origin should do?
You definitely need to watch out for the roving bands of catboys. That's the most important thing to watch out
That's
for.
any convention.
Yeah, I was going to say you joke, but that is absolutely going to be there.
Yeah.
No, it's what I love about. I mean, Origins and Gen Con are the two cons that I have a reference point for, and they are in otherwise a very conservative area, to say the least. Like Columbus, Ohio, and Indianapolis, Indiana are not winning any awards for progressiveness. But you go on the con floor and it's just a nice little island from that everyone feels free to be themselves. You see all kinds of get-ups and different types of people just living their best life, and that's a lot of fun. Awesome. So the people watching around the con floor is fun. You should absolutely spend some time just wandering around the con floor. I know they have an authors area this time, and I imagine they have an artists area as well. And so checking out the specifically like artist dedicated section of the con is always really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's all that kind of nerdy stuff that you see online. You're like, oh, that's really cool. You get to see it in the flesh, in person.
That's my favorite part of any of these conventions, at least the ones that I've been to. It's fun to go around and see some games that people are selling because there's really rare stuff in cases that you're never going to afford or touch. But like the artist craft stuff is my favorite, and bonus points if I am driving, so I can actually like get something without worrying about shipping it home.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, you can find often also some just crazy freaking stuff. Like at Dragon Con last year, the guy who does fucking birds.
Okay.
Effing birds, you mean?
Or effing birds, whatever. Yeah. I don't self-censor. Yes, effing birds. Was there, and so I got got my friend a poster that I signed that said something like, I don't got time for this.
I have the calendar,
something.
the effing birds calendar on my wall. My therapist says you should fuck yourself. There, that's one from my calendar.
I thought it was leading into your therapist's comment on the calendar.
Yeah.
Took a left turn.
No.
Yeah. These cons make browsable a section of the art world that is rarely browsable this way. So that's a lot of fun. And then final reco, just since we're talking about it, there is I think it's called Games on Demand or something like that. It's pretty much every night they do a draft of indie RPG systems. And so it's a whole room of people show up. You don't know what you're going to play. You don't even know what system you're going to play in. And you get assigned a place in the draft. When it's your turn, you go up and browse like this large list of different one-shots that the GMs are prepared to run. And you either pick a new one or you sign on to one that's already been picked.
Oh, sweet.
And you just go that way through the draft until everyone's assigned to a system that they just found out they're going to be playing. And you learn the new system. You see like an indie RPG. It is so much fun. It's how I discovered Band of Blades last year.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you love that.
And I'm still running a game of it. So yeah, it's super fun.
Nice. I realized just now I said, and maybe I'll be there on Thursday. Maybe I will have been there yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Oops.
Look,
I'll
our
tweet
time
about
traveling contingent is going to be thrilled.
it. Yeah. I'll tweet about it, and I'll carry around. I've got buttons and stickers and stuff just in case there are folks who approach. You never know.
Sweet.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Booth 1919 to come by and check out new stuff for Deck of Wonders.
Yeah, Deck of Wonders, the Master of Dungeons. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, I'm following it on Kickstarter.
Yay! Yes, that's the right place to go, and that's the right thing to do right now.
Awesome. Moxie, how about you?
Man, I'm kind of just chilling. Nothing really going on, but nothing really not going on.
That's great.
That's
Like
the
you didn't-
poorly received sequel to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. We go to different dimensions, but strangely enough, they're all basically just like this.
Yeah. I mean, so like nothing going on, but nothing not going on. I don't know. I say this often, but boring is a luxury.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm working on some cosplay. That's about the extent of it.
You working on your Gideon?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
I got a just unreasonable amount of black fabric.
Nice.
So
As it should be, and a shitload of face paint.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did start Horror the Ninth.
Yeah.
That continues to be just batshit insane.
It's even crazier than the first
Yep.
one. Gotta love those Locktoon books.
Yep.
Nice. For me, no, just this past weekend was Father's Day, so that was fun. And a lot of just trying to clear the decks for Shadow of the Erd Tree. It's weird because I have not let myself get excited about it. Just like, okay, kill the hype. It makes no sense to look forward to it, just because it'll get there when it gets there.
I mean, that's how I try to approach life. Just if you never look forward to anything, you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah. Expectation management is a useful skill. I know you were trying to be like funny bleak, but also, I don't know. So like, because I haven't done an awful lot of anticipation and it has just been clearing the decks, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this actually is happening. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to play this then. Cool. Like I just pre-ordered it on Steam. It's going to unlock at 6 p.m. on Thursday, and I guess I'm going to be playing this thing that I haven't really let myself think about or read about. So
I'm
excellent.
Kind of interested to see how it goes, because the only other expansion of a From game I've engaged with is the Old Hunters. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, like, I have a hard time seeing how you could even have the game without that. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems very important to the game making any sense and having coherence.
Yeah.
Whereas, presumably, the game made sense before this.
Yeah, the game makes perfect sense. It tells a complete story. There are areas where detail could be filled in, and some of those areas could be very meaningful for recontextualizing things that happen in the main game. The thing that I'm most looking forward to is, there's going to be some boss fights and story stuff. There's like a bunch of new weapons and shit. I want to play with new toys.
The number one thing I want, and this is now I am doing the talk about games in the pre-roll. The number one thing I wish I could get is a equivalent of the Beast Cutter from Bloodborne.
Oh, you mean the pizza? The pizza wheel?
No, that's the Beast Cutter's the heavy version of the whip.
Okay.
So just like my one pet peeve, at least so far, is you either have like big strength-based weapons with really simple movesets, or finesse weapons with complicated movesets, whereas the Beast Cutter was a very very strength-based heavy weapon, but had a lot of variety in its moves.
One of the things that has gotten through my self-imposed blackout is that there are a whole bunch of new There are a whole bunch of new weapon types, so you may
that
not
does
be
sound cool.
disappointed. You also
Yeah.
have to, beat Moog and Radon to get to
Right.
it. So, no. Yeah, so that's me. Just a lot of prep for that. But we've already edged into talking about video games. So why don't we just make it official? Let's do the regular kind of show. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
The grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Jala, I will throw to you.
Yay! Okay, so I've been playing a few things, 3 to be exact. A very teeny, teeny, tiny bit of one game, and then all of another one, and then almost everything in the other one. So I will talk about the teeny tiny one first because it is more of just a mention. So when I was chatting with some folks about strategy RPGs and stuff like that, because I am currently in Shining Force 3 mode, I was gushing and gushing about it. And of course, there's the stuff about the Tactics remaster that's been rumored and whatever. So talking about all of that, though, a recommend from somebody that everybody on level knows, Alex Ophelion, had recommended Demonschool, a demo for a game that is coming out, I believe, in September. And it is sort of like a Persona game. Like you're in a school, as you might imagine from the name, and there's demons involved, and just kind of the vibe and everything. Like it goes through, like a week in the demo of your regular schooling, where you are part of like this little occult group in the school setting, and then like the battles are different. They're more tactical. You kind of like line everybody up. But then there's also like, I didn't play enough of it to get really deep into the battles, but like Alex was describing them as kind of being like Radiant Historia, in that the force back of the enemies, like changing enemy positions and things like that is really critical, and so on. So it might be something for some folks to check out. So if you like Persona or Radiant Historia or strategy RPGs in general, you might want to take a look at that demo and see if it is up your alley. So that's just one thing I wanted to drop out there. I was playing a little bit of that today. So
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed it's not about a school building that is a demon.
right, that would be like, well, it's not quite a school building that is a demon, but there's an old anime series called Haunted Junction where the school is haunted by a bunch of different ghosts, and then like there's this supernatural student council that has to work with the ghosts to fend off attackers and whatever. I don't know, all kinds of nonsense. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. But Demonschool, it's one word. Check it out.
I love whenever a game that uses a sprite style uses those kinds of Persona, like super tall and kind of lanky character designs.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, aside from the fact that it's demons and school, like that is very Persona, but like this is specifically quoting like Persona 1 and 2 art style. And I'm kind of here for it. Also, taking something that is a pretty standard console RPG and giving it some more involved tactics RPG combat to it, that to me is only an upgrade. So yeah, I saw somebody playing this on Steam and I checked it out and wishlisted it and stuff. So I'm happy to hear you talk about it.
Cool. So there you go. There's one. The next thing that I have played is I played all of Crow Country, but I know that you had already talked about this, Kole. So I don't know how much more I can really add to talk about that you didn't already, and also you streamed it. So I mean, like, there's lots of coverage out there for this already, but
hit your high points for it.
I am proud to say I beat it before you did.
You did?
Because that's a rarity. But anyway, things that I really particularly like about it. I like the spin that it has on, what is zombifying the people that you encounter in the park. I like that quite a bit. It is weird, but it is weird and unique in a way that I'm happy to see that it's not just kind of a rehash and a reimagining of like a Resident Evil style, PS1 game that also recycles the kind of plot that you would get from that. Like it's familiar, but it also is doing its own thing, and I respect that a lot. So
it's a good mystery.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so I beat it before they came out with like the hard mode, which they specifically made for folks, I believe, for speedrunning purposes and things like that as well. So like I didn't get into any of the added content and stuff that has been released since. But after I beat Shining Force 1, I was like, or Shining Force 3 Scenario 1 rather. I was like, okay, I'm going to go play Crow Country for a little bit and finish this and then go on to the next thing. So anyway, I like the fact that a lot of, the combat in general, like not all of it, but a lot of the combat in general is wholly optional. And, it's got puzzles, but they're not depending upon which area you're in, some of them are a little bit more involved than others. But I like the fact that, there is like variability to like the challenge level of that. The feeling of it is great because it's one of those things where, one of the problems that a lot of indie devs have run into in the past anyway, I think like a lot of devs are kind of getting the idea now, is they have a tendency of trying to make the thing kind of verbatim, like the way that they used to make them, and like that's the wrong thing to do. You want it to play like how people remember it playing, not how it actually played.
Yeah. It's the Shovel Knight principle.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. And this game is doing a good job of having it play the way that people remember it playing. It has some modern concessions, but it also has a lot of the like old school feel, the pacing and the kinds of things that you run up against feel very familiar. But at the same time, like they don't feel frustrating, like the way that going back to some games from the era that this is cribbing on would feel, right?
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that game, and it would bear plenty of replays because once you know where you're going, this is something that you can buzz through real quick, I feel. So, it's interesting because like usually with this kind of an experience, I'm pretty one and done. Like, I'm like, okay, I played it. Maybe I'll play it in several years. Like, I don't need to play it again. But like, this is a short enough game that it doesn't overstay its welcome. I can, get through it in 2-3 sessions and, like move on with my life from there. So I'm a big fan of that. So overall, love it. Great game, recommend it. So far, it is, my favorite thing that I've seen come across the airwaves this year so far. So anyway, that's what I got to say about Crow Country.
Speaking in vague terms, how did you feel about the slide projector puzzle?
Well, some puzzles are better than others.
Yeah,
So-
that's diplomatic. Yes.
There.
So you mentioned, you see this as something you might play again. Are there like multiple endings, or what would be kind of the motivation for playing it again?
Well, you see, the thing is that once you understand the plot stuff and you get through all the way to the end, it's rewarding to go back through and look at everything again with a fresh pair of eyes that already knows the truth and has seen the things through the veil, So there's that kind of aspect. But also, this is just the environment that you find yourself in is a fun place to wander around and explore and just kind of look at the details of. So especially for me, I'm the person who loves to explore everything all the time. So if you give me a chance, I will probably take about double the time anyone else does in a game because I'm looking at everything. So, that would be my reasoning why.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, I could see playing it again. We're definitely going to cover it for WAP at some point. I like it too much not to bring it for some October or another.
Yay!
But like figuring out a way to, optimize
Exactly.
your way through is also, pretty good. I could see this. I'm not generally a person who, will go for the lowest runtime on a Resident Evil. This feels like it would be fun for that, just because there is enough variability in enemy placement and the way that they, kind of populate the park if you leave them going. That like using your resources is actually an interesting kind of kind of game in and of itself.
Right, and they do have.
This-
Sorry, Moxie, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, is this a game that could have a randomizer? Would it make sense for that?
Possibly. I haven't thought about that. I don't know that I have an answer for it.
Yeah. So the thing about it too is they have a lot of achievements for, like getting this rank or that rank. And, like the ranks are, finding all the different stuff, whether or not you die, whether or not you use this or that thing. So, I mean, like, there are built-in challenges just within the achievements that they give you. But because this is a short enough game that has a lot of optional content and everything, like I feel like that this is something that I actually would, if I had time, just go through and just 100% the whole thing, just because it's fun and I enjoy this game.
Sure.
And like, that's rare for me to say that I would 100% a game. As you all know, the last time I did that was Her Story. So anyway, yeah, great game. So the last thing that I have to talk about, and apologies, I'm going to be gushing, Shining Force 3 Scenario 2. So as of the time that we are recording, I had to stop and put it down to come record. I am on the last battle. So
Okay.
I was trying desperately to finish it. Unfortunately, I was not able to finish it before recording this, but I do know how it ends. I have played this game before. This is just, I've been having a really good time replaying it. So I've talked before about Shining Force 3 Scenario 1. And how much I like that, and how much it stood out to me at the time that it came out, because it's a very ambitious project. To refresh people, Shining Force 3 is a weirdo game from 1998 that did something that no other game did ever that I know of, where they split the story up into 3 separate released discs, scenarios 1, 2, and 3, with a different protagonist and Shining Force that you play, but the entire story is interwoven with the other 2 discs. So you can play each one individually, but then 1 and 2 end on a cliffhanger, and if you just pick up 3, you have no idea what's going on. So like it's a required all 3 disc kind of purchase, but they were released like every couple of months in 1998, starting I think in the summertime. And the characters, like the primary characters, actually help each other out at different points in the story, but each one of them has a different objective. They're coming from a different place. They have different dilemmas that they are dealing with. And this is a game that is narrative heavy in a way that you would not see in prior Shining Forces, nor would you see it in something like a Fire Emblem. Not to the degree that this game has, like political intrigue and, all of these different moral questions and, bigger philosophies that it's grappling with. I would say that it has a more complex story than Final Fantasy Tactics, which also came out like a few months after Shining Force 3. So it's the tactical part of these games is very svelte and light. There are... insofar as like your capacity to adjust your characters is concerned, you don't have the crunchiness that you have in a Tactics, where like, that Tactics is the most like granular of the tactical games that I've played, at least. And for that reason, like if you're a min-maxer and you love to tweak all of that stuff, it's great. But for me, it made it very opaque the first time I went through it. But this game is kind of like babies first, in a lot of ways, because you don't have all of these different variables to deal with. However, the real trick, the way that this game shines, is in the different things, different goals that you have in the different battles that you are put in, and the different maps, the styles of battles that you come across, because especially back in 1998, you didn't have like, hey, let's have a cannon fire sea battle before we board the ship and go do X. Or, now we've got to split our forces up on these different maps to do these different objectives simultaneously, like multi-map challenges with bonus content if you want to get the treasure maps and go into some tombs to save some goodies from thieves that are coming to get it and things like that. And like the whole game culminates in the third disc with all three shining forces from all three of the discs on a massive battle, like on multi-map battle, and everybody's there. And it's like this wild, very cool thing that, has been in one of my favorite games for a long time. Well, I played because okay, it's a 3-part game. So if I'm going to go through and be like, I'm going to replay this game, I'm going to get through Shining Force 3 Scenario 1 a lot. I will get through a good chunk of 2, and I will sometimes beat 2. 3, not so much. So, I'm really excited to go back to 3 now that I'm finishing up 2, because there were parts in the latter half of Scenario 2 that I'm like, oh man, I remember this, but only after I thought about it, because it's been so long since the last time I actually saw this, and 3 is going to be so much fun to go to. And then there's also the premium disc, which is like a full DLC, basically, of a bunch of extra content and extra battles you can do, including fighting bosses such as Dark Dragon from the first game.
Now, you mentioned that this 2 did a whole bunch of very for the time, even today, very revolutionary things. Does 3 continue on that, or is it a more conventional sort of game?
Do you mean Scenario 2 and then Scenario 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant a third game in the series separate from this. I'm sorry.
Well,
I misunderstood what you're saying.
Shining Force 3 is a weirdo because Scenarios 1, 2, and 3 are individual games that are all one story. And
and they didn't do that in future Shining Force games.
No, nobody did this ever again. The closest that we ever had was when .hack released itself as 4 different parts. But it's one story with one set of characters and, all of that mess. And then the most recent analog I can give you would be Resident Evil 6, because there's different scenarios and you're playing through different campaigns in that. And the different characters in those games are doing different things, have different objectives, and they cross paths every once in a while. Except make that into a strategy game that keeps on giving you fresh things to look at and fresh things to do, new things to try out. That keeps on challenging you with how you're going to come up against this, particular challenge that they're throwing at you, and make it super story rich.
The closest thing that I can think of was it Awakening or Fates, the Fire Emblem game, where there were like two Fates, like two versions, and then there was DLC for the culmination between the two of them. Like there's stuff that's kind of approached it, but like selling them sequentially as kind of whole other SKUs is not something that I've seen too much of. And listeners, if you can think of other examples, I think this is cool. I would like to hear more of them that are not, Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages. That feels like a different thing.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right about Fate, Fire Emblem Fates. I will be also on Friday Night Gamecast in August talking about Fire Emblem Fates. So you can stay tuned for more talk about strategy RPGs that are in multiple parts.
Yes. Is that the one with Pepsi Chan?
No, that one is Engage. So yeah. But yeah, Shining Force 3 Scenario 2 is a fantastic game, and the thing that I really love about playing these games again, other than the fact that, I'm remembering, oh yeah, this is why I love this game so much, is just because, as I mentioned, you are coming up against a lot of different challenges that I wouldn't see comparable challenges like this in the Fire Emblem, really, not like to the volume that you get in Shining Force 3 until Engage, and only in the DLC for Engage, Fire Emblem Engage. So, because that's where they really put all the interesting battles, unfortunately, for Fire Emblem Engage. So, but the story is like so much better than Fire Emblem Engage. So,
probably.
Yeah. So either way, these episodes, unfortunately, I was hoping to start releasing them coming out next month, but because the person that is doing them with me is having some life stuff, and this is a massive game, it'll be coming out starting in August at this time. So yeah, you will hear me talk lots and lots about this game going forward, but I'm really hope more people go and check it out because it is worth your time. You can emulate it. It's actually really easy once you realize that you don't need to do a virtual drive boot and all this other mess like I thought I'd had to.
I was gonna ask for this. This is your first time playing the English translations of scenario 2 and 3, right?
I had a whole transcript that I printed out from Shining Force Central. So I had the transcript printed out before, but this is my first time playing it where it is in English on the screen.
So that is kind of like leading to like your recommendation for it. Like you just download a patched ROM or ISO of this, and RetroArch has the emulator that will run it. Like even just like 4 years ago, this would have been way more annoying than it sounds like, and it ended up being.
It's so easy. I think it's CD Romance has the ROMs, the English ROMs, all of them, and all the ISOs and stuff that you need for all of that. So yeah, and it's super fun. Now I will say though that scenario 1 really does start out in this very slow way because it's trying to set up the story, and unfortunately, like they have to set up the story so you understand what the hell's going on, but that means that there's a lot of talking and back and forth before you even get to a battle. So for folks who like, it does ramp up over time, but right at first it's very slow at the very beginning. So it starts off on like a shaky foot when you first start playing. So if people do decide to check this out, just understand, like that first bit until you get to the second battle or so, it's real slow. And there is a lot of talking that happens because there's a lot of narrative. There's a lot of complexity to what's going on. The overall story itself, the overarching plot is pretty straightforward Shining Force stuff. But because of all of the different characters that really are just given a lot of motivation and personality, and the way that they're interacting, and the way that each of the individual characters are unique players that have their own willpower and do their own things, like you end up coming up on a lot of complicated situations. So again, like butting heads with people because of differing philosophies or moralities or whatever, and like decisions that are made in difficult situations, and like it's a really something that I like to reflect back on as well, which I can't really say for a lot of RPG plots. Like I don't go, oh man, I just love to think back about that time I killed God or whatever. So
it'd be memorable at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But actually not, because every game is about that.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of sugar to say about that. I love the game, and I continue to love the game, and I'm loving it more the more I'm playing it. And I usually get burned out, especially since this game, given the depth of it and the complexity of it, is one that across all of the different discs, depending upon how fast you play and if you're beelining the main mission, could be anywhere from 100 to 200 hours. So,
wow.
Like for something this big, I normally would be burned out. Not burned out at all. I enjoy every day pulling it up and playing some.
Nice. Well, I'm happy you're getting a lot out of it.
I am. It's been wonderful.
Yeah. Sweet. Did you have anything else?
Oh, no. I've already been talking for a long time.
Just wanted to make sure. Let's see. Who has something new?
I have a little bit of something new.
Okay.
So I have not completed it, mainly because I am awful at it, but I picked up Nightmare Kart.
Oh, Nightmare Kart. Yes.
Yeah. So that's the game formerly known as and legally distinct from Bloodborne Kart.
Has nothing to do with Bloodborne.
Yeah. Nothing to do with Bloodborne. Definitely not the same characters and basically the same plot and, any of that. Mm-hmm. So, so this is basically, it's the same girl who did the Bloodborne PSX remake. This is like a PS1 era demake of, the person who did the PSX demake of Bloodborne.
Yes.
That's relevant.
Yes.
Yes. This is the same idea, except that it's Bloodborne as a kart racer / battle game.
How much does it lean on the race versus lean on the battle?
So that's actually really interesting. So there's a bunch of different game modes, and some of them are straight up, a race, try to get in first place, whereas others of them are, like a Twisted Metal style battle where it's like first team to 10 kills or whatever. The races, in the style of like a Mario Kart, you can still get, pickups that are various sorts of weapons. However, the two big things that are different here are, one, since it's, Bloodborne themed, a lot of the weapons are like pistols or shotguns, or the one area of customization I've seen so far is you unlock melee weapons, different melee weapons. So one of the upgrades, or one of the power-ups is just you get a couple of swings of your melee weapon. Mm-hmm. So they're much more, I guess, kind of directly combative than like a Mario Kart. They've got all the ranged weapons have significant lock-on, and you can shoot them beside you and behind you. So there's a little bit of kind of a shootery feel to it. Mm-hmm. However, the other feature that's very interesting is that there are actually enemies on the track, on the stage. Mm-hmm. Various monsters, dogs, rats, wolves, things like that. And first off, these, serve as, obstacles. You don't want to run into them. But also, if you use your weapons on them, you'll get blood. And that is what determines your top speed.
Oh,
so
okay.
the more,
I like that.
So the more enemies you kill, the higher your maximum speed. Mm-hmm. The other interesting thing, you get boost gauge effectively from drifting, but also from doing tricks while you're in the air, which is kind of fun.
Okay.
And then I think the last thing I'd really highlight that's kind of cool is, there's a lot of diversity in the carts, quote unquote. So like, if you're playing just as the hunter, which is what you play during the campaign mode, you either have a cart or a motorcycle, kind of a steampunk car or a steampunk motorcycle. Mm-hmm. However, some of the, other characters will have like, sort of more like, kind of Victorian carriage type things. Is it Graham that's the fellow in the wheelchair?
In Bloodborne, but I do not know why you're bringing that up in relation to this.
Yeah, who would ever know? But, there is a character that happens to have a motorized wheelchair. There are a couple of characters that are just running. Most notably, Oh, I am blank on all the names from Bloodborne. The fellow the boss fight is just chasing them through the nightmare mansion.
In Bloodborne, that is Mikolash. And this, it is Nicholas. He's wearing a birdcage on his head.
Exactly. And so, appropriate to that, it is just straight up he's running along the track.
Yep. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of Bunlet's just completely incomprehensible YouTube videos in general. So yeah, definitely check it out, and it's free.
I've been intending to check it out forever. I really ought to. I think in my head I'm delaying because I think it's something that would be good to stream, but I do not know when I would do it.
It does have a campaign mode that does have some storyline, at least a little bit of voice acting.
Yeah. Like at this point, like I'm kind of a little bit more interested in the meta joke of how Bloodborne stuff is taken and it has the serial numbers filed off. For humor value. But like I understand it's like just a fun kart racer in its own right, even above and beyond. And that kind of blood level determines maximum speed in the same way that like coins do in Mario Kart, at least one. Yeah, all of that sounds neat to me. And I was going to ask, like, oh, here's this. You mentioned the diversity in the carts. Is that just in presentation, or are there different? Do they handle differently? Do they have different, kind of abilities, or is it just like tell me how they differ in play?
Sure. So I've only played campaigns mode so far. So you have the Hunter cart and the Hunter motorcycle. And those differ in like handling and weight, and I think maybe top speed. I'm not sure. So my understanding is that's pretty typical to like Mario Kart is does a lot of that. But yeah, it definitely seems like they differ. I have not noticed them actually having like dramatically different ways they behave. Although I've also not played any of the more weird, characters yet.
Yeah. Nice. Any other questions about Nightmare Kart? I almost said it by the wrong name, the bad name.
Not on my part.
Nope.
Yeah. What else do you have?
So the other thing I've been playing is Elden Ring.
Oh, yeah.
So one problem I'm having here is that all of the names in this game are completely incomprehensible, even by the standards of a From game.
People run into that, especially with all the M, G, and R names of the main demigods. All I can say is eventually that gets sorted out, and you learn to tell your Melanas from your Millennias.
I mean, I'm just taking the more direct approach of, like, I'm killing them, and so then it's no longer a problem.
Yeah, or that too, yeah.
I just love the game's dedication to, like, your character has no idea what's going on, and we will enforce that.
If it's in front of you, then it has to go.
Yes.
Yeah, I have noticed, and this is something I love, and I like to imagine this was like a process of this being a Japanese developer, but I love the fact that every character very much has an accent, but there is no consistency whatsoever in terms of like, oh, this is supposed to be, an England analog. It's just every character has some sort of vaguely European accent, but sometimes it's Welsh, sometimes it's Irish, sometimes it's something completely different.
It's they've got fantasy accents.
Right.
Well, what accent is that? It is fantasy.
Well, it's kind of like Resident Evil 8, like the accents or whatever. I mean, all of them have whatever accent, and you're like, okay.
See, but usually there's some consistency.
No, there isn't.
Whereas,
no, there is not. I would beg to differ. But anyway,
yeah, there's all kind of variants in the regional accents throughout Soulsborne stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But yeah. So I have beaten Grafty McGee.
Godrick.
Godrick, yes. Yeah, there's also like 3 different gods.
Yes, you got the G names. You got Godrick.
Godfrey.
Godfrey, yeah. Godrick and Godfrey. Those are the 2 direct ones, and then you get up to an Everjail later on, and you fight. Oh God, I forget the name of the other one, but Godrick has another ancestor whose name begins with G. I forget.
Godzilla. No, fuck.
Yeah, same.
I mean, that would be appropriate. But yeah, it's so I did not beat him in my first playthrough. Like right. I think in my previous playthrough, I unlocked the bonfire right in front of his place, and then was like, I think I'm done.
Okay.
I have to say, like, getting the tip of, hey, in this game, you're kind of meant to invest 90% of your points into vitality, dramatically makes this game easier.
What's funny is,
I mean,
the way that Dave plays this, he doesn't put any points into vitality, so everything kills him.
oh wow,
yeah, that's not funny. It's just misguided. Like 90%, shouldn't go in, but like, if you're leveling up, every other level, like one of your points should go into vitality or into whatever, I forget what endurance is in it. Like you need to feed the meter.
No,
right?
no, screw that. If you're not playing on Hell in Hell mode from Devil May Cry, you're doing it wrong.
I think that having hit points is good, actually.
Well, to each their own poison. Pick your own poison.
Yeah, true. Getting poisoned much easier to deal with if you have a lot of hit
This
points.
is true.
Yeah.
Also, the other god is Godwyn, right?
Oh, yes, there is a Godwyn. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I'm just committing to the other thing is I've fully committed to the guts weapon selection of just give me the biggest sword I can possibly lift.
Okay.
Didn't you say a couple weeks ago that you were going to explicitly try to break that trend?
I said I always, wherever I start one of these games, my first playthrough, I intend to do that. I have an awful time, and then months later, I come back and use the big boopy swords and actually enjoy the game.
Why fight your instincts?
Right. This also goes with the max out vitality, because it's not a guts fight if he doesn't bleed out like 100% of his body weight in blood every single fight he's in.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying the guard counter the guard counter system. Mm-hmm. I joked in another Discord I'm in, how I feel when an enemy attacks me, and it's just that you're already dead. So I've enjoyed that. I don't know if the previous games have had the ability to break stamina on enemies. Is that a new thing?
Yeah. There's always been staggering to a certain degree. It has been easier and harder to do, and it has been a little bit, surfaced and buried. But yeah, breaking enemies, stagger and poise has always kind of been there.
Yeah, because I've been going with that a lot, and that's allowed me to actually get pretty far in the overworld to places that seem like they're maybe intended to be a little bit later in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's going to happen with a gigantic fuck off sword. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I would be interested to see how exactly the game handles it, because I've had some enemies where, like, I'll hit them with my ginormous sword that I put all my whatever in, and it'll do just what would normally be like chip damage. But then that'll unlock a stagger, and my stagger will take off like more than half their health, or my critical hit. So I don't know if some enemies are explicitly designed to be like susceptible to critical hits or what.
Yeah, it just depends on the enemy.
Okay. So yeah, and then I've unlocked the what is it, Hogwarts?
The Academy at Raya Lucaria.
Right.
Yes.
I will say that is the one area so far where I felt like the game kind of fell apart from a telegraphing standpoint. I had to look up in the wiki.
Okay.
Because I had no idea what to do next. I think part of that might be because I'd already explored a lot of that area. So maybe it would have been kind of more telegraphed.
You had already explored a lot of Raya Lucaria, or you had already explored a lot of the region it's in, Liurnia?
The region, the lakes.
Okay.
And apparently I had, like, really early on in the game found there's some note that tells you how to get the key.
Yeah.
And just had forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the note that's right by the gate that has the glyph on it. Yeah. If you picked up that note and then didn't go right away to go get it, I could see getting lost.
Yeah. And then other than that, I've been exploring. There's like the village of people who bleed cum.
Oh, the village of Albinorix? Yes.
Yes, that's right.
This association game is incredible. You've seen the meme of like, come to such and such, we've got, and then all the pictures with like incorrect names. We just need to do that with all of Moxie's names for this stuff.
Well, it's funny. So something I'm learning about myself. I struggle a ton with naming, but this is also a game that is very much, with being open world, is all about, kind of forming mental maps of, how things fit together. Mm-hmm. It's that is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the stealth features. I feel like that's a real solid addition to the, I guess, from model.
Mm-hmm. That they kind of forget that's there.
Really?
Yeah. It gets de-emphasized a little bit.
Huh. Yeah. So far, I've used it extensively. Most notably, like I found I was able to stealth through pretty much all of the dragon area.
Oh, you stealth all the way through Dragon Barrow. Yeah. So I've enjoyed that. I really like the
fire zombie apocalypse area.
Kaled.
Yes.
Throw them at me as much as you want. I can probably hit them. So
this is like Kole's warm up.
I'm not doing this because I cannot remember what any of this is called. I'm doing this as a service to you, Kole.
Yeah. Keep me spry and limber for when the new season starts.
Yeah. So it's been interesting. I've been engaging a lot more with the various NPC invaders and the field bosses.
Okay.
Which is a lot of fun. It's funny. It's extremely variable, the degree to which my build can break, some of those boss encounters. Most notably, like, there's certain bosses that just don't have a way to deal with like jumping attacks, for example. Likewise, I've been enjoying some of the mounted combat stuff, even though that's a little jank. I feel like all things being equal, mounted combat maybe could have used a little bit more time in the development cycle.
Yeah, it's a little not great.
But it is fun to just, it's one of those things where with so many overbosses or whatever they call them, field bosses, it's fun to have some where I just kind of ride around them in circles and spam the attack button.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite was one of the nights I do that, and eventually dismount him, and so being an honorable fellow, I get off my horse to fight him, and he just resummons his horse.
Yeah, you're
like,
talking
oh,
about
you asshole.
Yeah, the Knight's Cavalry, he'll do that. Knocking him off is a way to get in a little bit of damage before he hops back up.
Yeah. So, I'm enjoying it. I'm interested to see. It feels to me like this game has a particularly high instance of them just fixating on weird, like, recurring motifs. Just like the fact that like someone in the development cycle really likes turtles, and it's not clear why.
Oh, I mean that's kind of a FromSoft thing,
Specifically turtles.
Not turtles, but just like having kind of these recurring elements that pop up throughout a game or across
exactly. Yeah. So I'm particularly noticing them here. I also want to know, like, someone at FromSoft clearly hates dogs because dogs are just always awful in this game.
I would say they love dogs because they want to make it miserable to kill them, so you don't bother.
Fair enough. See, the
reverse psychology approach.
Why not?
See, now it's just equip a polearm and do some jousting.
Yeah. So.
But yeah. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm trying to decide if I might change some things up once I get respec. Right now, I'm not really using any of the magic system at all. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's a little bit more variety in that this time around.
Yeah, there's a good amount of variety. It's really effective too. Like magic people will denigrate it because it makes things easier, but like it genuinely like is a good and fun way to experience the game. So
yeah.
You're pretty close to where the respecs are going to open up. I believe that it's once you start going underground that the resource that you expend to make to your respecs that starts getting just a little bit more common.
Yeah, I think I've got one item that it's implied you can use for that, so I think I have one of them. But yeah.
The larval tier.
Yes.
Yeah.
This will actually get into some of our multiplayer, but yeah, this game has some very bizarre, like, usables and pickups and stuff like that, so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still have no idea whatsoever, like, even less than normal from game, what this game is about, but.
Oh, I mean, you'll get there eventually.
I mean, at least the first one gave you, like, ring 2 bells, you is undead. Like, that I could at least understand.
I mean, in this, it's pretty quick to get to the round table hold and have Gideon tell you, like, you need to kill 2 of the shard bearers to get the part of the rune to get into the capital.
See, unless you forget about that part of the game like I did.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I had a weird thing because, like, I didn't really interact with that until I, like, teleported back there to buy something, and one of them tried to kill me. Mm-hmm. Again, luckily, he was not smart enough not to attack my shield, so it ended poorly for him. But yeah, I definitely killed a NPC before I even attacked him.
Yeah.
Or before I even spoke to him.
Yeah, you can always, you can fix that. You can get your sins absolved. That should be fine.
Yeah, the turtle pope will forgive all.
Yeah. And if he doesn't, then go to hell. No.
Oh,
So-
I did want to ask, does it matter at all who I give my sorcery scrolls to?
Give them to the people who are going to be around. I would say give them to Turtle Pope. Turtle Pope will never go away. And Turtle Pope is very convenient because Turtle Pope can teach all kinds of stuff. So both spells and incantations.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah. So first off, I got back into Forza Motorsport.
Okay.
So I had mentioned a while ago I got the itch to play a racing game, and updates kind of got in the way. But this time I actually got in and started racing again. The big difference here is that I'm using it as an excuse to learn how to drive manual.
Okay.
So I've always driven in automatic and played racing games in automatic, and as I've talked with people about racing sims and stuff like that, it's like it's gonna suck for a day or two, but it's 100% worth making the switch over. And granted, I don't have like a box to shift with. I've got paddle shifters, so this is manual light. But it's the first time I've really like thought about gears in a racing game, and having just screamed around the track in automatic, whatever it tells me I should be in.
Right.
Yeah. So
playing, driving in manual in a video game always feels really strange to me, because in the times when I've tried driving manual, and even just like when I've paid attention to somebody who is driving stick, when I'm like driving with them, like knowing when to shift is such a tactile thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to know if there's any games that have actually, like, if you have the foot pedals, do you have to, like, ease off the clutch, or can you stall?
depending on the game, I know for sure that you can't, because people get really into their sim racing rigs and have the full setup, and there are games that cater to that. So I know there are absolutely games where you can just shoot your engine out through the hood if you do it wrong.
Right.
Is
Forza Formula Racer, or what sort of cars are they?
No, it's all kinds of cars. It is basically the most arcadey sim racing game. Like it is kind of in the sim racing world. It is the training wheels. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of help given, and while it's real cars and real tracks and fairly realistic physics going on, it is designed so that you can get in and race a lot of different cars on a lot of different tracks with ease, rather than just truly trying to emulate mastering a car on a track.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, so the friendliest possible way you can shift, see what I did there, away from automatic mode. And yeah, I mean, after the initial like, whoa, what's going on? I'm going down when I should be going up, and everything feeling crazy. It really clicked, and I'd spent a good amount of time in this game racing automatic. And what I was, I guess, most surprised by is racing in manual truly does make a whole bunch of tracks click in a way that they just didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh my God, if I can just stay in gear 3, this turn makes complete sense. Whereas before I was just
it's
always
so
like,
much easier to hold to the line.
yes, it is really like, oh, this is a massive upgrade to your ability and just reading the track and feeling at home on it. I still am figuring out the right way to use downshifting when I'm braking. And like timing that and getting it,
like engine braking?
Yeah, like engine braking. Like there's a rhythm to that that I have not quite figured out yet. I'm not useless doing it, but there's definitely like I don't think I could articulate the right approach to it just yet. But to what you all were saying about the feel aspect of it, I think probably the closest approximation that the game can give to that is the audio cues. Like at least for me, it's been very much about listening to the engine. And in the absence of a literal feel, that kind of audio cue and just hearing how much it's straining or how much it's kind of revving, that gives a really good feel to the shifting. So,
and there's also, you can see a tachometer probably.
Oh yeah. There's a big red light that turns on when you should shift up. So they make it pretty foolproof. But even within that, it's like, okay, am I just clicking over as fast as I can, or based on when I'm going into this turn, do you use the shift as a way to kind of keep your rhythm going, etc. So. Yeah, it's been really fun to mess around with the game from that perspective. I busted myself back down to private to learn this. I went all the way back to the beginner's introductory campaign and have been working now my way back up through it. I am not brave enough yet to go into an actual race, so it'll be a while before I actually race against real people using manual, but. It's been fun to use Forza Motorsport to just kind of play around with that in a way I haven't before.
Nice. A different way to engage in racing games.
Yeah. Also, this time around, my starter car, I bought a black Honda Civic, just like I have in real life. So, that was nice.
How does that work if you're racing, like I said, like formula cars or whatever?
How do you mean, in terms of acquiring the cars or in terms of driving them?
Well, I mean, those are cars whose top speed is probably like double or triple yours. Yeah,
I mean, I guess the closest analogy I have is I have a Lotus. It's not Elegy. It's whatever their most recent one is. It's like Elise, Elegy, Exegus or something like that. I don't know. It's all e-names. Anyway, that the Lotus sport car that's in the game. I tried taking around the track a couple times up front, and I was just all over the place. I was absolutely out of control. And that's what actually made me decide, why don't I just go back to the beginning of the beginner's campagin?
Yeah.
So I guess, sorry, what I was meaning though is are there races where it's like a Honda Civic versus $30 million Formula One car?
No. Well, there could be. So the Forza's big thing is all the upgrades that you can do are very in depth, and you can get in there and play with every little piece of this, but then it will calculate a universal rating for the car based on the upgrades you have applied, and it starts out at E and then works its way up to an A, and then I think it goes R and then X or something like that. So it puts you in a class based on your car's setup. Now, the formula cars you're going to buy, and they're already at A okay. or higher. But you could soup up your Honda Civic to be in the same class. And so I guess if you had an extremely upgraded Honda Civic and a not at all upgraded formula car, you could be racing them against each other. And there's a category of event in online racing where it's just bring in a car, and whatever that looks like for you.
Bring your A game.
Yeah, bring your A game, literally, or your X game, or your B game. And so you
bringing your X game would be a skateboard, and I think that has a very slim chance of losing.
I mean, unless was it Skitch, where you just like hold on to a car?
Yeah,
it's a high stakes. It's a gamble.
You don't know how much you can upgrade a skateboard, but yeah. So yeah, that's the format. There's like a series of races that are a designated car type and a designated setup. There's a series of races that are a designated car, but you can mess with the setup for that car however you want. And then there is just, hey, build to this rating, bring whatever you want. Yeah, so that's Forza Motorsport, excuse me. Been a good time there. Any other questions about that?
No, it sounds like you're having a good time.
So then the other game that I started playing, and this is not a new game, but new to me, is a little indie title called Sea of Solitude.
Sea of Solitude.
Yeah, it's a very, very small team that created it. And at least from what I saw on their website, like, it's their only work.
Yeah.
But it was picked up by EA and got a lot of attention.
The depression game.
The depression game. Well, one of many depression games. This one specifically is, as the name implies, a meditation on loneliness, and its many forms on that front.
It's very pretty.
It is. Yeah. It is beautiful, and it is even more beautiful in motion. Specifically, the sea in Sea of Solitude is ever present. You kind of navigate around a 3/4 submerged city, and for some of it you're driving your boat along the streets as if they were canals, and then for the other part of it you're kind of platforming around the rooftops. But in all of it, the sea is rolling and very rough, and it's the best implementation of I don't know if water physics is the right term, but like of waves as a game mechanic that I've seen. It just feels right the way the water moves, and it makes it, so much of your platforming is done in places where the rolling waves mean this platform is going to be underwater intermittently and oftentimes unpredictably, as the sea is rough, and it's not like the waves are just on a timer. It feels chaotic. And so, timing out when you move versus where, versus where the waves are, is a big part of the platforming. You wake up, you're, this girl who, looks very bedraggled and is like almost a exclusively black color palette in relation to what can sometimes be a very pretty world around her. She's lonely. She's can't remember the last time she's interacted with people. And then she sees a light in the distance, and you start moving towards that. And you kind of uncover more about what her deal is as you move through this landscape that is kind of, bits and pieces of her past, maybe. Like it's very clear this is a mental landscape that she's navigating versus meant to be like a physical place. And it kind of interacts that way. So the weather will change. When you're in certain areas, it'll be nice. And then when you move away from certain objects or just, encounter certain objects, it will get very dark and stormy very fast. You meet this other girl who's, bright and cheerful and kind of almost a foil for the character that you're playing. And to date in the game, you've kind of spent your time chasing after her. Okay. And this feels like it is either her, ideal self or a sister, or, there's something being worked out there on the metaphor level. But the other character that's ever present in the game is this sea monster, and you can see it on like the thumbnail art for the game, but this giant eel-like creature that is, swarming or stalking you in the water. And also verbally berating you at every turn.
Pretty on the nose.
It's extremely on the nose. And I was thinking about this because do you guys remember the game Popo.io?
I had a similar complaint about that game's treatment of alcoholism. Yes.
Yeah. So, I loved Popo.io. I'm enjoying this. But look, there's no doubt that all these metaphors are extremely on the nose. They're direct.
And the question is, do they have to? Is that so bad? Right. The example is like, the REM song "Everybody Hurts." Well,
yeah.
Yes, it is very direct in what it's saying, but maybe saying that plainly can have value, and saying it plainly is the only way to make somebody get the message and really internalize it. Right.
Yeah. So there's that level to it going on. And like, if you're thinking about this, like a movie or another, less interactive medium, I would definitely want a little more subtlety, just a little more trust that the audience is going to understand what you're trying to go for versus beating you over the head with it. I feel like video games have this weird dimension where, they give you this super obvious metaphor just on the page and sort of like, okay, here's what's happening. Here's the metaphor. And they kind of scream that at you a little bit, are very direct and on the nose, but the value comes in the interacting with it or the playing with it over time. And that, it's less important or I guess less of a faux pas that they are overt about what they're saying, because the interaction with it is where the subtlety comes out. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so, you're being super overt. This is what it is. And then I start to see like, oh, well, maybe the way I move here, or maybe, just the frustration I'm feeling on this puzzle or what have you. There's an element there that doesn't exist in other mediums that, for me anyway, makes the overtness a little more forgivable.
Yeah. And there's also like, we can say like, oh yes, I wish this was a little bit more subtle in its theming or whatever. Like, people will misinterpret the most obvious of metaphors or the most, right. Just look at, I saw the TV glow, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Or The Boys. I've seen a lot of funny commentary on The Boys, and people finally realizing, oh, this is anti-Trump.
Yeah. Oh, wait. This is making fun of me.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel a little bad for pointing out like how on the nose it is, but it's like the demon of darkness that chases you and berates you.
Yeah, it's pretty right there. I will say though, so a large part of the platforming is, you're going from safe place to safe place, often having to swim for a little bit. Like you can jump, but you won't quite get there. You have to swim the rest of the way and then climb out. Mm-hmm. And you have to time this for, when the monster is far enough away from you. It's kind of roving around the city blocks, et cetera. And so if you pay attention, you just have to wait until it's at a point that you feel like you can go. It's just a timing puzzle. That's, it's pretty simple, but I'll be damned if it isn't the most like gut level fear when you hit the water and you hear this like, woof, and that monster is turned and is swimming directly towards you. Cause the second you touch the water in any form, it like immediately clocks you and makes a beeline for you. And that is like, I've exclaimed out loud on multiple occasions, because it then crashes into the side of whatever you're climbing out on, like hits it full force, and is just really effective, jarring scares there. So
I think Sunless Sea had it right. Humanity was never meant to be a seafaring species.
Yeah, I feel that here.
Yeah.
So that just works on a gut level. That adrenaline spike of hitting the water and knowing you've got you don't even really know sometimes how long. You just hear the creature coming from behind you, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, used to great effect, like in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what happens if it catches you?
It brutally eats you, and you restart.
Fair enough.
Yay!
Yeah, so it doesn't do one of those. Oh, you're in danger. You better hurry up. You're in danger. I'm gonna get you soon. Like no, it'll happily kill your character. But there's no. It's not too punishing. I've never had the spawn be too far back, and then that's nice. Compounding the fear of that, as I mentioned, that the waves are very rough. And you're on platforms that are getting kind of submerged if something splashes too high. And so nothing is scarier than starting to run to make your jump, and a rogue wave like washes up just high enough that it triggers the monster.
Yeah.
And there's this instant of like, okay, do I bail right now or do I go for it? And yeah, that is an excellent creation of tension on the game's part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're enjoying it.
It is. It's an interesting experience. So it's a very tense game, but it's not the kind of tense where I'm worried about a jump scare at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of tense that's like, any little thing right now is going to make me burst into tears. You ever had those days where it's just like,
Yeah.
you're like one more thing, and I'm just going to be a puddle. Like it's too much. Like,
Yeah.
It is an overwhelmed and like
You just feel like a giant black sea monster is chasing you some days.
really that's what it is. But yeah, so it's that kind of tension that the game creates. And so it's a little, I've played it late at night with the lights off and, kind of gotten into the mood for it that way. And yeah, I think it is an experience to come to on those terms. It's been pretty good.
See, I feel like what you need to do is this needs to be a vacation game, and you need to play it on Steam Deck while like sitting in the water on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah. That feels like a great way for me to accidentally drop my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Maybe a bathtub. I don't know. I feel like you can make this work.
Make it. It makes perfect sense to drop your Steam Deck into the ocean. It's basically the size of a surfboard.
It still drives me crazy that things like that aren't waterproof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it fairly universal that phones are waterproof now? I feel like there was a big marketing campaign, and then everyone was doing it, and I
Water
kind of assume
resistant.
it is. Resistant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Which means not at all waterproof.
Yeah, and what that actually means is pretty flexible, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a universal rule of capitalism. You're only promised what you can sue for.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, so that's Sea of Solitude. Like I said, it's clearly a small team that made it, and it's a passion project for them. The voice actor is, I think, like one of the animators. Mm-hmm. And has a very thick accent, so that's a little bit immersion breaking, but what can you do? And yeah, that's Sea of Solitude.
Cool. So Forza Motorsport and Sea of Solitude. Anything else?
That's me.
Okay. I only have one, and it's going to be pretty short because I was kind of disappointed by it. Most of my video game playing time has been for clearing decks for the Elden Ring expansion. So that's why I've been a little bit scarce these past couple of weeks, only talking about things on stream. This week is going to be no exception to that. Last Friday, I streamed I Am on Observation Duty.
Oh, how'd you like that?
I didn't care for it.
Wah, wah.
So I decided to stream that because I really enjoyed the Exit 8, and to a lesser extent, but still qualified as enjoyment, enjoyed Platform 8, Mm-hmm. And I figured, all right, I only have one night to stream this week because of Father's Day commitments that I have, so I'm just going to stream a short one. Let's do I'm on Observation Duty. And what I've discovered is that I might have played the best one with Exit 8, or at least the one that is most to my taste, right? In terms of ramping up the paranoia, where you get the okay, there actually might not be anything different about this right now. and you have to confidently make that call to advance and see if you're right about that, right? That I think is the necessary ingredient for this to work as horror and paranoia for me. As it stands, I Am Observation Duty was just kind of boring and frustrating. Yes. So I'm on observation duty. You are somebody from some kind of home protection security agency who is tasked with watching the security camera feeds of this house, switching around to the cameras in different rooms and watching for anything unusual that might be happening. And this is taking a lot of cues from something like Paranormal Activity, being entirely in black and white security camera footage kind of stuff. And I just didn't vibe with it. It has the gamut of things that could be, that could be wrong. So like, it is as unsubtle as like, a naked guy staring right into the camera. Okay, yeah, that's an anomaly. That probably isn't right. Down to just a bunch of stuff that I couldn't spot. And when I say couldn't spot, it's like, well, there was a plate there, or there was there were a couple of pills there, but there are fewer pills on this table than there were before.
Did it actually at some point tell you this is what you missed? Or
No, never did. I had to go onto the Steam guides and look and see what the possible anomalies were.
Now, I forget, is this one where you have to somehow... Can you just say, yes, there is an anomaly, or is this you have to fill out a form or something?
So with this, you have to indicate which room is having the problem, which is not that big of a deal, because the rooms are labeled on the cameras that you're in. It can get a little bit tricky if you are spotting an anomaly through a window or a door that could technically be in the other room. There's a lot of vagueness in the form that you're in what you're doing, right? But usually it's pretty clear for that one. And the other one, they have a bunch of categories. So it's item missing, item moved, item, extra item. There's there's an intruder here. There's a ghost. There's something called Abyss Presence, which is much cooler in concept than the way that it actually manifests. The Abyss Presence. And so it's a bunch of categories. I didn't end up using all of them, but what I ended up running into is, okay, I'm looking at the bathroom security camera. There is an orb that was not there before. All right. So what is orb? Right? So, okay, obviously this is in the bathroom and orbs are ghosts, right? And it takes a while and then comes back. No anomaly spotted. So you think, all right, well, maybe this is an intruder. No. And it just doesn't look like anything, doesn't look like any kind of object or, whatever. What the actual answer is just extra object. So it feels a little bit like a semantic guessing game.
Is a ghost not an object?
That's for philosophers. So yeah,
or programmers. It depends.
Yeah. So it's really frustrating because a wrong answer, it's not like you fail if you get it wrong. It's just that every time you submit a report, it takes a bunch of time for that to come back. For it to come back as either approved or not approved. And then the anomaly goes away if you get it right. If you get it wrong, you're just wasting a bunch of time. And the anomalies can stack up. You do not need to see, to spot and identify all of them. You just have to make sure that, not too many of them are together at the same time. So while I'm in here, frustratedly, okay, there's an anomaly here. I need to, submit this. I can, while I'm waiting for that, I can be looking around and I can see all of these anomalies, but I can only submit 4 of them per in-game hour or something. And while I'm waiting for it to come back, yes or no, I could die, right? Or I could fail because there are too many anomalies, right?
I'm curious if the submission method has an impact on how much you enjoyed it. Like in the games from last week, you were having to like physically walk out of a space, right?
Yes.
That was your commit, as it were. Whereas this one, it sounds like you're what, filing a form?
Yeah, it's like a little like Windows interface thing with like 2 drop down menus. Is what it is. With the Exit 8 particularly, it's like, okay, is there something wrong or is there not? And then you had to decide, right? So it was not like I had to do anything to say like, oh yeah, there's this there's this guy doing spoiler thing, and then I have to find spoiler thing on the list. It's a lot of like being told I'm stupid for not understanding exactly what the developer had in mind. In addition to like, again, there's no real sense for the magnitude of the anomaly you're expected to look at. Because, like maybe there's one missing pill, right? And fuck you for not noticing that.
Yeah, I felt like this was kind of a little bit of a missed opportunity, because I feel like a way that the whole form thing could have been really interesting is if they kind of had that be one of the ways that the game screwed with you.
There's one anomaly that is present in all of the games, so this isn't necessarily spoiling or anything. But sometimes when you're rotating through the cameras, it will skip over one of them, like very consistently. So instead of going like bathroom, living room, bedroom, kitchen, it'll go bathroom, bedroom, kitchen. And if you're not, if you're just flipping through idly and not paying attention to, I haven't seen the living room in a while. Then that'll be an anomaly. And while that has disappeared, while that camera is malfunctioning, there may be anomalies that are like stacking up in there. So it's doing a little bit of that playing with the box stuff.
See, I'm thinking more of like, I remember there was some dumb thing that one of the Portal games did, where you had to fill out some sort of testing application thing, and one of the things was just like all these weird options for what tests. So like one of them was like good cop, ventriloquist cop, stuff like that. I feel like have something like that where like just make the form intentionally weird, and then have double down on like actually make like, hey, how do I translate this nonsense to this dystopian like gig economy form? Like actually make that the game.
That's a little bit what Home Safety Hotline is to a degree.
Yes, that's a good example of what I'm thinking of. Yes, that's excellent.
Also, just like stylistically, this felt very cheap, which I understand is a little bit of the point. But after playing a game like the Exit 8, which is very aesthetically pronounced, and I just feel like having a little bit more artistry in the way that it's shown gives you the ability to have much cooler anomalies that are present, and also gives you better ways for anomalies to be subtle than, oh, there's a pill missing here.
I also feel like, and I don't know, maybe this is kind of a self-indulgent thing, but I feel like your approach to streaming, you are not like a Markiplier, like let's be super exaggeratedly, like emotional and emotive about this.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I feel like this kind of caters to that of like, the type of streamer that's like, oh my gosh, where's the anomaly? Where's the anomaly?
Yeah. It was mostly just me staring at a static black and white image saying, all right, show me what you got. That was about it. Yeah.
It's ironically a very, very accurate representation of having like, a very boring service sector job.
Yes. Yeah. So it mismatched with the kind of streamer I am, but also I just, if I was playing this for fun, I would not be having a lot of fun. So Wish I liked it more. I do not like the bleak possibility that I played either the best of these or the one that is most going to match my style. I think I'm done with anomaly games for a while, at least on streams.
Yeah.
I mean, best anomaly game, still Stalker.
Yeah, Stalker's a good one.
So do you have any thoughts on what your next Hexcrank game might be?
I don't know. I'm not going to be doing it this weekend because of Shadow of the Erd Tree. There's some new stuff that's coming out. For the last little while, I've been kind of surfing the new and trending on Steam.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah. So maybe I should go back to something a little bit more tried and true. Got no idea. No reckon right now.
Woo.
Any other questions about I'm on observation duty?
I think I might have popped in for a minute and then left because I'm like, boy, this is exciting.
Yeah, this is nothing. This is nothing.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where usually we ask you a question and you answer, but this week we're doing a free play. Thank you for posting the free play, Dennis. This is where it's a usual kind of Q&A kind of deal. Let's see here. Peter writes in, with the Elden Ring DLC just days away, what are some memorable or favorite consumables you've either heard of or used? I mean, boiled prawns and crabs are fantastic, but my throwback call is going to the Giant's Gloves and the Judgment Staff from Final Fantasy 1.
Okay, going way back.
Favorite consumables.
I have one for this.
I do not have one for this, but I do have a comment that is made when a character uses a consumable good.
Okay.
So in Lunar 2, Leo will say, "Sample my goods," every time he uses an item in combat.
Yeah. This is a hard question. I don't know, because what are your favorites or your best? Like, obviously there are ones that are too good to use. Your mega elixirs and whatnot. As far as funny ones, I don't know. So I'm just going to, I'm just going to say this: first aid spray in Resident Evil games, primarily because games came out when I was like 12. Right. So pretty young, but just the idea of like an all-purpose healing spray was really fun. And, again, just, whimsical, dorky little 12-year-old, just like getting some of that breath spray and saying, this is my first aid spray, like, yes, I've gone from caution to fine. Just kidding. I was never fine.
So I love the Resident Evil 6, the Tic Tacs. I don't know if any of the if they kept that on in 7 or in 8, but
no, they went to kind of more standard. There was like the in 7 it was the and in 8 it was the health drink that you just kind of like splashed on your right hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I also love the fact that every character used that, so it just seemed like I don't know, it just implied that, in that universe, all of a sudden everyone decided that first aid spray wasn't cool anymore.
I think it's pretty cool. Dennis, do you have any favorite consumables?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And it goes into the funny category for the reason it stands out. The beers that you can buy each other in Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh, yeah.
So in the hub area, there is a bar. And you can order from an extensive list of brews. And it's actually you can unlock these as you play. So your list gets broader and broader. But all you get is the name. No details on what it does. And the base level ones will just kind of make your vision wavy for a little bit, or what have you. But then they start to get weird. So there's ones that make you fly. Ones that will do nothing for 30 seconds and then randomly explode you.
Yeah. Sometimes it's
ones that will make you see spiders everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just all kinds of craziness. And so I've never had a game where more frequently it's like, all right, I think we're done for the night. That was my last one. And then a half hour later, you're still like, wait, here, try this one. What is it? I just drink it. And it's like, it mimics that experience of like actually being out at the bar, pretty damn well.
Yeah.
And
I also,
it's hilarious.
From a graphic standpoint, I love the fact that the foam has like latte art in it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then you've got a cup that you can throw, like you carry around the cup after you've drank it and can choose when to toss that.
And you get bonus points if you toss it through the basketball hoop.
Correct. Yeah, so the consumables have absolutely no effect on the gameplay. Although I guess, so like the hub area is filled with secret areas and like just little things that if you go exploring you can find, and so some of the brews are legitimately helpful in exploring the hub area.
I want to say,
but apart from that, there's no gameplay effect.
So I thought there were a couple that had a gameplay effect, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Oh man, if there are, I haven't seen them. But yeah, those are pretty good.
Nice. Second question here, and this will be the final one.
Oh,
Callum.
wait.
So,
So,
you. Sorry. I thought you already said one. Apologies.
Yeah, no. So, a couple of thoughts. One, I'm having trouble thinking of some examples of, but I know I've played a number of games that have some great like body horror consumables. I want to say like Darkwood had a couple of those that were really good.
Okay.
And some of the like Sunless Seas, stuff like that. But just I love a good consumable where it's just like inject my bloodstream with some sort of crazy serum or something that definitely doesn't have a good idea, but might let me survive this fight.
Plasmids.
Yeah, plasmids
Exactly.
specifically. Yeah, right in the wrist it goes.
And similarly, this is more of a how the consumable is consumed. I love the River City Ransom approach of just you eat the consumable, even if it's like a video game or whatever.
even if it's like a martial arts manga. Yeah.
Why do you think they call it bites?
God, River City Ransom is so charming. I love it. Yeah, that's a good one. Now moving on to the next question. Callum writes, playing Fallout 4 for the first time, and crafting is on the mind. What is your favorite implementation of a crafting system in games?
If I have to pick one, I would say Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yeah. Elaborate.
Just because you can take the bits and bobs and do kind of whatever you want with it.
Yeah. Shore up whatever resource you happen to want to use the most of.
Yes.
Yeah. That is that is a good one. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I got to give the devil his due. Diablo 4, especially with the latest season's update, has a really good crafting system. So obviously you get random drops. Those drops have two-ish affixes to them, which are like additional stats. You can then through crafting add stats where you can't pick a specific stat, but you can kind of pick a category of thing. So it's like you can say like, I want to add a stat to this themed around darkness, or I want to add a stat to this that focuses on poison, or what have you. So you can add a couple stats that way. And then with, after that, you are able to re-roll, pick one stat from everything you've gotten to kind of keep on trying to swap out for something else. And kind of through that, you can build towards your ideal perfect weapon or armor or what have you. But you never, you're never just typing in what you want and you get that. There's always a little bit of chance to it, and the chance to be like, ooh, well, I wasn't trying for that, but then, this thing that I rolled and got, the max stat for could send me in another direction. And it leads to some fun theory crafting stuff. So, Diablo 4.
Nice. Moxie.
So, a couple of things. I do think actually the Fallout 4 and 76 definitely stands up there, particularly in the element of just like making you search through trash.
100%.
Especially in 76, just because, you know, being an MMO and a live service game, I spent a lot of time with it. Like, I definitely got to the point where, like, I knew, like, for example, I always picked up typewriters because typewriters have screws and you always need more screws.
Screws and glue.
Yep. And so, yeah, so that definitely stands up. In terms of the end product, I think maybe, the Dead Rising games are really pretty great.
Just in terms of finding unconventional uses to turn random objects into weapons that are ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
A shopping cart with lawnmower blades on the front that you push around.
Yeah.
right? Or like if you combine a diamonds with a flashlight, you get a lightsaber. In terms of like from a more gameplay mechanic standpoint, I really wish more games would learn from The Division 2, where that basically you are able to deconstruct items and save your highest roll you've gotten in any given stat, and then at a later time, as many times as you want, you can apply that roll to another weapon. Mm-hmm. So it basically makes a thing where, you know, random loot drops are still relevant, but you are inevitably going to get to the god tier rolls because eventually you'll just have max rolls every category and can just kind of put together what you want. Mm-hmm. So I really think that's a better, thing than just, just search for things, indefinitely and throw away most of what you find.
Yes. Yeah, I can see it. For me, I chafe a little bit at crafting systems, with the exception of, Fallout's. Like Fallout 4 is a really good crafting system in my mind. Justifies a lot of stuff about that game to me. But like my favorite example is like in city builders or colony survival kind of thing. So thinking about Farthest Frontier or End Zone, or you run into this with Against the Storm, where, like at a civilizational level or at a colony level, like you are trying to make stuff, either, make components that need, that are needed for, different kinds of buildings or different kind of goals that you're working towards. But also like in a lot of those, it is just the colony will be happier if you make things with like a greater level of complexity, so you like, yes, we could just subsist like, oh boy, I turned logs into planks and I turned meat into warm meat. But it's like, no, like like managing your supply chains and logistics in order to, actually make, complex foods that are, luxurious in order to make luxury goods. Just a bunch of stuff like that, like, just adding in additional complexities, into the economy that ends up being a little bit more than just kind of making something for this new verb that you want to do right now. And then it's going to be, going to be consumed, and kind of being more long-term projects that you are constantly kind of, tweaking around. Yeah.
I feel a lot in, particularly in Against the Storm, I feel a lot of like kindred spirits with like, I think it's the foxes just want some warm soup and a blanket.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're having a self-care day.
Big mood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's me. And those are the two questions. We got a lot of talk out of those. So thank you. If you'd like to participate in the future on these multiplayers, you can go to the Duckfeed community group on Facebook. Watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The End Boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us and how we feel about them. Jala, I'm going to start with you because you have brought what to my mind is the most exciting thing from the Nintendo Direct that happened today.
Yeah.
To me personally, yes.
Yeah, so new Zelda game. And Zelda is the lead character of the Zelda game.
I'm going to be so
Yay!
pissed if they don't call this game Link.
The Legend of Link.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. And then also, this is the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And in it, you have a little staff thing. It's like a top-down game, and you have a staff thing that you can use to make an echo of anything that you basically, point the staff at. So you can make, duplicate trees or duplicate tables and use those to get around the world and solve puzzles and things like that. So, unfortunately, it's not like a Breath of the Wild style, Tears of the Kingdom style game in which Zelda is kicking a bunch of ass. It's a cutesy little, looks like more of a puzzly type game. But, whatever. That's what we get there. And then also there's another Metroid coming out, which has parts that look like they are like first-person shootery and stuff. So, interesting. So, anyway, both of those two things are the two things that are coming out. They were announced.
Man, I want a Sheik game.
Yes.
Well, we're kind of getting one a little bit with Zelda. Yeah, no, but Zelda as Sheik. Yeah.
Oh, speaking
Yeah,
of...
like...
Oh, go ahead.
Definitely, like, hey, that guy is also kind of like a girl was definitely an early feels for me.
little formative.
Also, I would love a game where it's just like an AI-controlled Link with like the intelligence of a lemming, and you're playing Sheik running around the level, like making sure that he can actually solve all of the puzzles.
Yeah. I'm excited. Oh, go ahead, Jala. I'm sorry.
That's kind of like the 80s Zelda cartoon.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm excited that this is a top-down Zelda. It is in the visual style of the Link's Awakening remake.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. I really enjoy those. I especially like that we are getting Zelda games that are not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom,
Yeah.
100-hour monstrosities.
Right.
GTZ.
I do understand the desire to have Zelda kicking ass in a more physical way. For me, it just my excitement is just more around like, holy shit, we're getting portable Zelda games or portable style Zelda games. When literally last week we recorded an episode about Zelda Link Between Worlds, and I said we are probably done getting this very kind of game, and they fucking swoop me before
Right.
that episode even comes out.
Right. Well, and the thing is,
What'd they say? Oh, we got to go make a fool of them.
as much as I would
Sorry, go
love to see Zelda kicking ass and everything, I also looked at this and I'm like, this is something I would play also. So,
Yes.
Yeah, and I do love that, like, in general, I would love to see more franchises, just like, I am not someone who's a big, like, oh, there's too many franchises, make completely new things, but I would love to see people do more new things with franchises.
Yeah.
AKA, give me the Devil May Cry cooking game, you cowards.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff at this Nintendo event. I forget who said it on Twitter, but it's like, it's very funny watching the other, press conferences this month, and everybody's like, sorry, our systems are old. Can you wait until 2025 for us to publish this game? And Nintendo's like, yeah, our shit's old. Here are like 100 games announced, like many of them bangers, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was excited about the Ace Attorney Investigations collection. I'm not enamored with the first of those, but getting an official translation and kind of updated version of the second one is not something that I ever expected that we would get. And I think that this means that currently every Phoenix Wright game or Ace Attorney game is now playable on like a modern system, Switch or PC, except for Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright. So that's cool to me that all of those are available to people who want them.
So this
Yeah,
is
for sure.
completely off topic, but well, mostly off topic. Your assistant, I think it is in Phoenix, right? The gal in the purple dress.
I forget.
Maya?
In Phoenix, right? Maya. I thought you were talking about the Miles Edgeworth one. Yes, in the first three, it's Maya Fey. Yes.
Is she queer or something? Like I have. She is very popular in like queer like TikTok community, but I don't know the context for this.
No answer.
It's like a trans shark kind of thing.
I think that the blahage. Yeah. One second. Yeah. No. I think that the fandom is going to do what they want to do. I think that Maya is just goofy and endearing, and has just enough kind of like tomboyish traits a little bit to kind of be appealing. In a bunch of ways.
I
So,
didn't know if it was something like that or if there was some. Yeah, I've never played the games. I just like the memes that come from them.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. The other thing that I was excited about is a collection that is not just coming to Switch, but the where's this at? The Marvel vs. Capcom fighting collection, arcade classics. It's like 7 of the X-Men, Children of the Atom, Marvel superheroes, the first 2 Marvel vs. Capcom. Like those are the only fighting games that I like really, really enjoy, like the early Marvel and X-Men games. And to have these on a collection, it's like, whoa, I don't like fighting games, and here I am excited about this collection. So
Yeah. Well,
These
Nice.
are not the beat 'em ups, right?
not the beat 'em ups, no. So it's not
Okay.
like the Konami X-Men one. This is actual like fighting games.
Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely I was really interested in the Metroid Prime one as well. Just because that looks way more appealing to me than Metroid Dread, which is still sitting there for me because I still haven't gone back to it. So
Had you played the other Metroid Primes?
I played bits of them. I didn't play all of them all the way through.
Yeah.
So
Those are the first person ones, right?
Yes. Yeah. So my dirty secret, I didn't watch this. I was doing something else when this was live. So I have not seen like the actual gameplay that they showed off. I mostly just marveled that this game was still real because it was vaporware. It was announced like 7 years ago, and then nothing was ever shown about it.
right.
Yeah.
The other thing I saw talk of, but I don't know if this was Nintendo Direct, is some announcement of a new Dragon Warrior remake or something.
Yeah, Dragon Warrior 3 and then also 1 and 2 are being remade in the 2D HD style. Or 3,
Nice.
Yeah, 2D HD. So like Octopath Traveler or Live Alive. Yes. The reason I said that's so weird is that 1 and 2 are going to be a bundle sold together, and then 3 is its own game because 3 is really big.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other announcements that stuck out for the Nintendo one?
No, not for me anyway.
Yeah. No Silk Song, as it always was. Shall it always be?
Sky
I'm
is blue.
sure it will be just as good as was it the third Ico game?
Let's see. Moxie, what is happening with Helldivers?
Yeah, so the Helldivers, just for kind of review, one of the big gameplay elements that really controls a lot of kind of the meta narrative is that every so often the entire community gets a objective that everyone works towards. So it's been things like liberating certain planets or wiping out certain numbers of enemies. This one was a little bit different. It was called, I think, the Trolley Initiative. And you were given the choice either save the super citizens and home for very sick children by liberating a planet, or liberate a different planet and unlock a new weapon that is like anti-tank mines.
Okay.
Most notably, there have been 2 previous, I forget what they call them, like super missions or whatever their term is, priority directives, something like that, to unlock the space mines, and both of them have failed.
Okay.
And luckily for this being a feel-good story, the players overwhelmingly decided to think of the children. And, saved St. Anne's. And in order to celebrate, the developer behind Helldivers 2, this is the day. Helldivers 2 donated $4,311 to Save the Children charity.
Awesome.
So that was fun. They also posted on the game's Twitter a adorable thank you note from the kids from the in-game kids, with a picture, a poorly drawn picture of one of the Helldivers firing a gun next to a flaming skull, and saying now we can all grow up to become Helldivers too.
Yeah, dark.
Shudder.
That is very cute, and it's cool that it went for a good cause.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a game that continues to be kind of strangely enough having a really good storyline despite being a really stupid game.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping they pull the thing in Helldivers 1 where it's possible for Earth to get blown up.
Well, then they just made a new one. It's just super Earth now. Yeah.
Double plus Super Earth.
Yeah, why not?
Exactly. So every so often, video games are not, horrible.
Yeah. And Dennis, round us out. What is happening with Valheim and board games?
Yeah, not only are video games sometimes not horrible, but sometimes they're board games. There was a high-profile success recently with Deep Rock Galactic becoming a board game. And it looks like the next game to get that treatment is going to be Valheim, which would not have been at the top of my list. Like, this kind of comes out of left field a little bit.
Yeah, like the elements are there, survival, and then building stuff up. I can see that working, turn by turn, dealing with like big encounters. Makes a little bit of sense, but I do not think about that being like a big enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not exposed to it. A big enough property to translate. Yeah.
Well, there's potential there. I also see, I guess, some red flags in what they're talking about with the announcement. So far, it's just a picture of a box and some vague descriptions of mechanics. At least in the article I've seen so far. If they've shared more, I haven't seen it. They talk about it feels like kind of an engine buildery kind of thing. You got to gather resources, explore biomes to upgrade your base, to make better tools that allow you to go get better resources, etc. All building up to a big boss fight at the end of the playthrough. They talk about the idea that you're going to be upgrading stuff in your home. So that, comfort level is a stat in the game that determines how well rested you can be and some things that you have access to. That's going to be a part of the board game. I don't know, with Valheim being so focused around, like Minecraft is, the building a cool thing. I don't know if they're really going to be able to do much with the I'm building the home my way versus just, a set path of unlocks.
Like how expressive it's going to be.
Yeah. So I maybe they'll do something cool with physical parts, but that feels like something that'll be hard to replicate. The other thing that they mention is that each player is going to be able to have a class, And so, there's different roles that you take. A ranger does scouting and fighting. A sailor focuses on, naval routes, etc. And that feels very out of character for the rest of the game to me, where this has the Elder Scrolls approach where, by jumping, you will get better at jumping. By blocking, you will get better at blocking. For almost everything in the game, it's that way, where whatever your character does, that's what they get better at. And it's odd to me to plunk down a class structure into the middle of that.
Yeah.
So, very little is out about this yet, other than just the concept. The devil is always in the details, and I hope they do a good job with it. But I'm kind of watching this one with a bit of skepticism right now.
Yeah. I've seen enough clunker video game, board game adaptations that, it's something really needs to pass a bunch of filters before I think, that could be cool and work. Yeah.
Yep. So for people who like Valheim, it's more Valheim. That's always nice. We'll see if they're able to capture the magic of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
See, I thought the core of Valheim was just running around in circles until daylight came, trying to keep the goblins away. Like, I feel like the ultimate real-life Valheim experience is just tag.
That tells me you never established a place to sleep, like a hearth where you could sleep through the night. That's,
I don't know that you got very far
base
in
building's for suckers.
That's like missing the what's it place in Elden Ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The round table hold. Yeah.
I know that the one survival game I actually engaged with was it the forest, and the secret to that game is just don't build a base and you'll never get invaded.
Just always stay on the run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a long episode. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to level number 505. We've been doing the show for a very long time. So you know the stuff to do to help out the show. Patreon, subscribe, leave ratings or reviews. All of that is very helpful. Trying to think of other business stuff. I'm still trying to decide if we're going to have an episode next week. Just because of Shadow of the Erdtree stuff, I may be indisposed.
Earn my tree.
But yeah, and Dennis, you have Origin stuff. That's a long event.
I do.
Yeah,
it is 4 days, and I'm the only person manning my booth. So it'll be long days.
That is a lot of time to table.
Yeah.
It is. I was talking with someone at the con last year, and they're like, "Don't you get bored?" And I was like, I think I'm just really happy inside my own head, and it does not bother me to be like standing in the booth all day. So
wait, did that person have kids? Yeah. I feel like if you don't understand, no, there's no kids.
Yeah, that's that is probably a non-trivial part of it. Yeah. But Booth 1919, a new expansion for Deck of Wonders called the Master of Dungeons, and a coming reprint of the original game. Makes for a lot of exciting stuff to show off at the con.
Jala, what's happening on Jala's Place?
Yeah, so the most recent media episode was on the movie Bunraku, and it featured Moxie on that episode. So you can listen to us along with Will from Friday Night Gamecast talking about Bunraku. Also, the episode that comes out the same day this episode comes out is on burnout. So a very important topic and a very interesting episode, if I do say so myself, with my friend Desiree.
Wait, you don't mean the racing game?
No, I mean the
I already
actual
made that joke
thing.
in a text message.
Yeah. And then
only one.
The next media episode to come out the week after, like the next time my episodes drop, a couple of weeks actually after this episode drops here, it will be on the Legend of Zelda 80s cartoon. So nice. You can have fun with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I've been... where can people find that?
Oh, at jalachan.place.
I've been Cole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Cole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I've been Moxie, recently on Jala-chan's place.
That's right. And I am Jala-chan everywhere I might be found, including jalachan.place.
And stick around for some titles. All right, I have to use the restroom very badly, so let's get the titles out quickly. I have one.
Speed run.
Yeah, I have one called Bring Your X Game.
I have two.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Nothing going on, but nothing not going on.
Did,
And then I also have Godrick, Godfrey, oh God.
I like that.
I know that was my personal favorite.
Yeah. Moxie, what you got?
So I don't recall exactly how it was said, but someone described like Link the Adventure of Zelda or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That was Dennis, I think.
Okay.
Legend of Link.
Yeah, Legend of Link.
Yeah. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I had three. I have Hit Points is good, actually. And then I have What is Orb?
Okay.
And then finally Screws and Glue.
Okay.
There's no overlap.
I know.
Screws and glue. I like the Godrick, Godfrey, oh God.
And it's also timely to the
Yeah, it's
Erd
pretty
tree,
good.
so
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Awesome. It is decided.